The night was long and restless as Harker tossed and turned in his bed, haunted by nightmares of the horrors he had witnessed in Vladislaw's laboratory. Sleep eluded him, his mind consumed by thoughts of Subject 18 and the dark forces that lurked within the castle walls. As the first light of dawn began to creep through the curtains, Harker finally succumbed to exhaustion and fell into a fitful slumber. But his rest was short-lived, for he was soon jolted awake by a blood-curdling scream that echoed through the castle corridors. Rushing from his room, Harker followed the sound to its source, his heart pounding in his chest. As he rounded a corner, he came upon a scene straight from his worst nightmares. Servants and guards lay strewn about the hallway, their lifeless eyes staring into the void. Blood coated the walls and floor, forming a grisly tableau of carnage. And at the center of it all stood Vladislaus, his features contorted in rage as he surveyed the aftermath of the massacre. Harker recoiled in horror at the sight before him, his mind struggling to comprehend the violence that had unfolded in the dead of night. But as he took in the scene, a chilling realization dawned upon him. Subject 18 had been awakened. With a sense of dread gnawing at his insides, Harker knew that he had to act quickly if he were to survive the nightmare that had engulfed the castle. Gathering his wits, he made his way through the labyrinthine corridors, his every step fraught with peril. But as he ventured deeper into the heart of the castle, Harker became acutely aware of the malevolent presence that seemed to lurk around every corner. Shadows danced in the flickering torchlight, whispering secrets of unspeakable horrors yet to come. It was then that Harker stumbled upon a chamber unlike any he had seen before. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and the walls were adorned with grotesque symbols and sigils. At the center of the room stood an altar, upon which lay a figure shrouded in darkness. Drawing closer, Harker realized with a sinking feeling that the figure was none other than Subject 18 itself. Its eyes gleamed with an otherworldly light, its form shifting and twisting like smoke in the wind. But as Harker approached, a voice spoke from the shadows, freezing him in his tracks. "You have come seeking answers, Mr. Harker," the voice intoned, its words echoing through the chamber. "But be warned, for the truth you seek may be more terrible than you can imagine." With a sense of dread weighing heavy upon him, Harker knew that he had stumbled upon the heart of the darkness that had consumed New Transylvania. And as he gazed into the abyss, he realized that the true horror had only just begun. The castle of New Transylvania stood as a sinister sentinel against the backdrop of the moonlit sky, its towering spires casting long shadows over the surrounding landscape. Inside its ancient walls, a darkness had taken root, a darkness that threatened to consume everything in its path. Jonathan Harker, the young scholar who had ventured into the heart of the nightmare that gripped the castle, found himself face to face with the true horror that lay within. Subject 18, the ancient being whose malevolent presence had been unleashed upon the world, loomed over him like a specter of death. But Harker was not alone in his struggle against the darkness. With the help of a small band of allies, fellow scholars, brave servants, and even the enigmatic Count Vladislaus himself, Harker set out to confront the evil that threatened to engulf New Transylvania. As they delved deeper into the labyrinthine corridors of the castle, they encountered horrors beyond imagining, monstrous creatures that lurked in the shadows, twisted abominations that defied the laws of nature. But with each step they took, they drew closer to the heart of the darkness that had taken root within the castle walls. Their journey led them to a chamber unlike any they had seen before, a chamber filled with arcane symbols and sigils, a chamber that seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. At its center stood an altar, upon which lay Subject 18, its form shrouded in darkness. With grim determination, Harker and his allies prepared to confront the ancient evil that had been awakened within the castle. But as they approached the altar, they were met with a force unlike anything they had ever encountered before, a force that sought to consume them body and soul. With a deafening roar, Subject 18 rose from its slumber, its eyes blazing with an otherworldly light. It unleashed a torrent of dark energy upon Harker and his companions, sending them reeling backwards in terror. But even as they faced certain death, Harker and his allies refused to back down. With weapons drawn and hearts filled with courage, they launched themselves into battle against the ancient evil that threatened to destroy them all. For hours, the battle raged on, the clash of steel and the roar of dark magic echoing through the chamber. But in the end, it was Harker who delivered the final blow, a strike that struck true and sent Subject 18 crashing to the ground in a heap of twisted flesh and bone. With a triumphant cry, Harker and his allies stood victorious, their courage and determination prevailing against the forces of darkness. But as they caught their breath and surveyed the carnage around them, they knew that their struggle was far from over. For even as Subject 18 lay defeated, the darkness that had consumed New Transylvania still lingered, its tendrils reaching out to ensnare all who dared to oppose it. And so, with a heavy heart and a steely resolve, Harker and his companions vowed to continue their fight against the reign of terror that threatened to engulf them all. As they left the chamber behind and ventured out into the moonlit night, they knew that their journey was far from over. But with each step they took, they drew closer to the light, closer to the hope that one day, the darkness would be banished from New Transylvania forever.